Hi, it's Molly and welcome back to my channel. Welcome here if it's your first time. Today's video is all about my favorite concealers. So I am very excited because concealers and concealing, base products in general, are my absolute favorite to go over. So let's just get right into it. I have 9 different concealers that we are going to go over today. I broke them down into 4 categories to make this a little bit easier, especially if you have a specific need that you're looking for. The categories are drugstore, dark circle coverage, skin and spot coverage, and then I guess you would call this my holy grail formulas, the formulas that every single time I use them, I'm like, wow. I have swatches on my arm that I will share and swatches on my skin. I do like to show swatches on the underside of my arm, even though it's lighter than the rest of my face because it doesn't get any sun. I think it's a good way to see the true undertones of the concealer. For example, here is the Maybelline in Light Honey, and you can see the nice peach tones that come out. And then here's Maybelline in Warm Light. And you can see how that's a more yellow undertone. On all of the swatches that you are about to see on my eye, I did color correct. I have bluish purple under eye circles. So I did color correct with this peachy pink color corrector before I apply the concealers, except for the IT Cosmetics, just because I forgot. But I do think that this really helps. I just use the smallest amount. And you can see it really brightens up before applying concealer. And then that way I just have to use a small dab of concealer versus having to pile on concealer to try to cover up those blue-purple tones. My first drugstore pick, this is the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. It contains 0.07 ounces of product. It retails for $5. It's a liquid formula and it comes in 12 different shades. I wear shade 26N. This is a great illuminating formula. It really does brighten dark circles. It's very light feeling. It does need to be set almost immediately with either your setting spray or powder, or else it can crease. But overall, I was really impressed with this formula. I've gotten questions in the past on why I don't use a ton of drugstore products, and it's because I do have sensitive skin. I do really love this formula. The first 2 times I used it, I did have a little bit of a burning sensation the next day. I just had very sensitive skin underneath my eyes the first 2 times I used it, and then I was okay. I tend to have a very extreme reaction to some ingredients in drugstore products. I don't know what the ingredient is, and I wish that I did. My wallet really wishes that we could figure out that ingredient because I love the drugstore prices. I mean, this is such a gorgeous formula and it's $5. I have used this many times since and I have not had that same reaction. So I did just want to share though, in case you also have sensitive skin, so that there's no surprises. But since then, no reaction, great formula, just really beautiful illuminating finish on the eyes. Next is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser Multi-Use Concealer. Many names. There's many names for this concealer. This contains 0.2 ounces of product. It is a liquid formula. It retails for $10 and it comes in 18 shades. I mix shades Light Honey with a little bit of this shade Warm Light. Warm Light is a little bit too yellow for me, and Light Honey is the perfect light peach shade, but sometimes it's just almost the same shade as my skin, so I'll lighten it up a little bit with this Warm Light. This is Maybelline Light Honey, Maybelline Warm Light, and Maybelline Ivory, and Ivory is actually the one that I mix it with the most. Here's Ivory and Light Honey mixed. You can see how I get a nice lighter version of a peach undertone concealer by mixing them. As you can see, I have gone through many tubes of this over the years. I will say the first 2 times I used this, 2 or 3 times I used this, I did have that same kind of burning sensation underneath my eyes. And then since then, I've not had that reaction. I just share this for full disclosure because I don't want to rave about a product and then have you have a bad reaction. But my skin did seem to adjust to it because I have been using this product now for years and it is one of my favorite drugstore products. It is creamy. It has coverage. It really does cover up dark circles. They've expanded their shade range. That was when they added this Light Honey shade to their lineup, and it's a really nice peach tone shade. I wish it was just a smidge lighter so that I didn't have to mix it, but overall it's really nice. What I like about this concealer is that it gives you a lot of coverage without ever looking flat. on the skin. It's not super illuminating. It's really definitely more of a coverage formula, but it never looks flat. It has a really nice satin finish so that it just ends up looking like my skin. This has definitely been my grab and go and run an errand concealer for the past several years. All right, moving into dark circle coverage now. This is really where I prefer a cream formula. Cream formulas in general just tend to have more pigment and they really cover up these dark circles. This is the IT Cosmetics Bobbi Under Eye Full Coverage Anti-Aging Waterproof Concealer. This contains 0.4 ounces of product and it retails for $28. It comes in 24 shades. I wear shade 12.5 Light Golden, which they actually no longer make. They discontinued this shade this year. I would go for the shade 13. I think that this is one of the best selling concealers at both Ulta and Sephora, which is kind of amazing. There's two things that I want to say about this concealer that I don't want to forget. The first is that 0.4 ounces of product is a ton of product. Most foundations are 1 fluid ounce. Out of all the concealers that I'm going to show you today, I actually think this might be the best value, even over some of the drugstore, just because you get so much in the tube and there's so much coverage. The second thing that I want to talk about with this product, application is key. I think to get your best results with the Bobbi Under Eye, one, you only want to use an amount that is about the size of one of those round pin heads. Do you know the pins I'm talking about where they have the little tiny balls on the top? That's about how much concealer you want to use for both under eye. As I mentioned, it's a cream and liquid hybrid, so it has the coverage of a cream and somewhat the feeling of a liquid, but it's slightly heavier than a liquid. So what I like to do is I put that pin size amount on my ring finger and then press your ring fingers together. You'll feel the product start to warm up, and then once you have it warmed up, you're just going to gently press and lift, press and lift, press and lift into your skin. And with any cream formulas, you want to make sure that your skin is really well moisturized, because cream on just dry skin that's not really well moisturized, can get a little bit clingy or patchy. So make sure that you have an under eye cream on and then dab and lift, dab and lift, dab and lift to blend. If you try to just pop this on without warming it up and then you're just moving it around with a brush, I think you're not going to understand the hype, but when you warm this up, when you dab and press, when you apply it on moisturized skin, you are just going to see your dark circles disappear. It's honestly really crazy. And the other thing that I love about this formula, not only do I love it for dark circles, I love it for mature skin. It has a really nice satin, almost like satin matte finish, but it never looks dry or cakey. If you really do get that proper amount and get it blended, it just has this soft second skin look, but you get so much coverage, and that's really, really hard to do. It's hard to get that much coverage and then also have it still look like skin and not be settling in fine lines and wrinkles and making everything look like, wow. And I mean, the other thing with this concealer is, as I mentioned, you will have this tube forever. I mean, it is wild to get 0.4 ounces of product. That's almost half the size of a foundation. I mean, $28. I don't know if there's a better deal in the beauty game. Anyhow, this is a great deal. This is a great concealer. It really works. It's wonderful for dark circles. Make sure that you're applying it correctly. In summary. Okay. All right, moving on. Next up is the Surratt Perfectionist Concealer Palette. This comes in 6 different shade ranges. I say ranges because inside each palette there are 2 concealer shades and a powder. The total for the creams is 0.09 ounces and the total for the powder is 0.11 ounce, and this palette retails for $58. I wear shade 2, and I love shade 2 because it has this amazing peach shade right here. This shade is so perfect. It's the best peach. It's so fabulous. If you have peach undertones like me, this shade is going to blow you away. The one thing that I kind of am like, oh man, with this palette is that I very rarely use this other shade. I feel like it's just a little bit too much of a neutral for me. So I kind of just wish it was like 1 concealer shade and then 1 powder. Now, Surratt Beauty is a luxury brand with luxury price points, but I will say that all of their products really deliver. I definitely hesitated for a little while to buy this palette just with the price point. I was like, you know, I have other concealers. And then, like always with me, curiosity won out and I was like, I have to try it. I'm so curious about this brand and I was blown away. The formula is great. Dark circles disappear instantly. Again, this is a cream formula and it's a little bit more of a heavier cream formula versus the, like say the IT Cosmetics. So really make sure that you are warming this up and getting it ready to go. And then again, press and lift into your skin. Watch your dark circles disappear. With cream formulas, if you try to just do it all at once, you're not going to be happy. Cream formulas need to be applied on skin that's very well hydrated and you need to set aside a little time to really dab and blend and then build, because if you try to just put it all on at once, you will get creases and you will not be happy. I think that's the biggest thing I see with cream formulas is just people trying to apply all the product at once and it's like, it just looks heavy. But when you take a cream formula and you take the time to really press and blend and you're giving it time to become one with your skin, you will be so happy with the results. I will also say I've never seen such a lovely lavender powder and I wish that Surratt would just sell this on its own because it is something else. I just have really nice things to say about this palette. I think it's lovely and I think Surratt Beauty in general just really delivers for that luxury price point. Okay, so next up is actually another Surratt Beauty product. This is their stick concealer. It's called their Surreal Skin Concealer. This is 0.06 ounces of product and it retails for $50. This comes in 8 different shades. I wear shade 4. Shade 4 is an amazing peach shade. Because this formula is a little bit more matte, this would be a great one to put on any skin spots because I think the undertones in this line are so accurate as well. So you could really find a good match with this concealer. I have found that Surratt Beauty was founded by a makeup artist, and I've found that makeup artists really do make some of the best beauty lines because they truly understand undertones. They understand what they want performance-wise out of a product. And I think that's why, like, when I look through my makeup, I'm like, wow, a lot of this is from makeup artists who really have just dialed in what they want out of a formula. So I tend to reach for this one out of laziness because it is a stick formula, so I can just pop it and go. But with that being said, it is still a cream. So what I recommend doing is just pressing a little bit on your skin and then letting it sit there for a minute, let it warm up so it becomes one with your skin. I feel like we're getting it now with the cream formulas. I just keep saying it, let it become one with your skin. And then I start to dab and blend. But with creams, I personally feel like I get my best performance when I let it, I let it warm up and then I blend it with my fingers. So I never really blend a cream formula with a brush. I feel like at this point you're probably like, Molly, we get it. But I just want to emphasize that with creams because I really do think that the application is such a big part of the results and the performance. All right, moving on. So those are my dark circle picks. I only have one pick for skin. Well, I guess the Surratt is kind of a skin pick as well. The product that I use the most for my skin is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This is shade Light 2.75 Canelli. The NARS Soft Matte contains 0.21 ounces of product. It is a cream formula. This retails for $30 and it contains 30 different shades. They just expanded their shade range. I purchased this one before they expanded the shade range, and at the time this was the only peach undertone concealer that they had, and now they have really knocked it out of the park with that expansion. This is my go-to concealer for my skin spots as mentioned because this Canelli shade, am I saying that right? Canelli? I'm saying it wrong. Anyhow, what I like about this particular formula is that as it mentioned in the name, it's matte, but it's not flat. So when I put this on, it blends in. As I move, it just looks like my skin. I really love using this one around my nose. This is where I get really red. Instead of putting foundation around the sides of my nose, I just grab a teeny tiny bit. I barely even touch the top of this NARS, and then that's what I'll pop around my nose. I have a lot of veins that come through because I am fair to light skin tone, so I don't necessarily have enough pigment in my skin to cover up my circulatory system. So I do like to pat this over those veins to get everything covered, and I feel like when I do that I can use less foundation so that my foundation ends up looking a little bit more natural, but I do get the total coverage that I want. Next up is the Koh Gun Do. This is the My Fancy Moisture Concealer, and this contains 0.14 ounces of product and retails for $70. The palette comes in one shade with 3 different concealer shades in that palette. And it's a great one for makeup artists. It's also a great one for anyone who self-tans and really wants to have a nice custom blend. I do tend to use this middle shade the most. On days where I'm just a little bit more fair, like today, I would reach for this lighter one and mix that in. Koh Gun Do sent me a little bit more information on the moisture palette, so I wanted to share that with you. Pro tip, moisture concealer's 3 shades can also be blended together or used as a highlight and contour to conceal undertone and more imperfections anywhere on the face. The lightest shade is especially awesome when working with deep set eyes or hooded lids prior to concealing. The medium peach shade really cancels blue-purple undertones from lack of sleep or sluggish circulation, fluid buildup. The deepest shade will recess blemishes and puffiness. I love those tips for getting full use out of the moisture palette. I had not thought to use this lighter shade as a base to really draw out hooded or deep set eyes, or to use it as a highlight. So that's what I like about the shades. What I like about the formula is that it's one of the most hydrating cream formulas I've ever used. As I mentioned, sometimes with creams, they can feel or start to look a little bit dry if they're not really have become one with the skin. But with the Koh Gun Do, I feel like it just really has so much, I want to say, what's the word? Emollients? Like it just looks beautiful. It looks radiant on the skin. It looks high, like my skin just looks moisturized. It looks great. If you have watched anything on my channel, you know how much I love Koh Gun Do. It's all over the blog, my obsession with Koh Gun Do. And I just feel like their concealer formulas are amazing. So this is, oh, by the way, we've transitioned into my Holy Grail favorite formulas. I said there were 4 different categories and I have steamrolled ahead without telling you that we are now into my favorite formula categories. Next up is actually the Koh Gun Do. This is their Moisture Fit Concealer. This contains 0.25 ounces of product. It's a liquid and it retails for $50. It comes in 3 different shades. It comes in a light, medium, and a deep. I wear shade light 02. As I mentioned 5 seconds ago, I love Koh Gun Do. I genuinely love them. It's the foundation I'm wearing today. When it comes to Koh Gun Do, for me, there's no other formulas that really compare. There's no dupes, if that makes sense. It's just Koh Gun Do is Koh Gun Do. Their ingredients are so good. It's just so great for sensitive skin. It's especially amazing for the very sensitive skin underneath your eyes. And I feel like with the Moisture Fit Concealer, what I like about this, one, the light 02 shade is a really beautiful peach shade. The first time I used it, I was like, oh, it might be a little bit too peach. And then I used it and I was like, nope, it's perfect, of course. But then the other thing I love about this is that I can pile it on. Those days you are exhausted and it never looks heavy or cakey at all. It just looks like your skin. I don't know how they do it. I will pile on the foundation. I will pile on the concealer. I love medium to full coverage and it just never looks heavy. I'm always like, I don't know how they do it. The one thing that I would say, I think that this would be one of the best selling concealers in the entire world if they expanded the shade range just a teeny bit in both directions. The formula is just so good. It's so hydrating. Your skin looks amazing. It covers dark circles. It's just like, I cannot say enough nice things about this formula. That's my only thing, is I just so gently and kindly ask and wish that the shade range would be expanded, because my love for this concealer knows no bounds. It is absolutely one of my Holy Grail formulas. It's a mature skin favorite. It's just like, wow. Wowzas is what I would say. It's just, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it. So next up, this is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer. This contains 0.23 ounces of product. It retails for $29 and it comes in 22 shades. I currently am using shade 1W. This is a teeny tiny bit yellow for me, but it brightens like nothing else. I will say, in the 30 days of concealer video, the Laura Mercier, I don't think that I applied it right. I definitely forgot because I was trying to apply everything the same way, like with a brush or a sponge. The Flawless Fusion, this concealer applies best with your finger. This one is definitely more on the liquid side, but coverage-wise, it has the coverage of a cream. It's insane. When this concealer came out, there was so much hype and I was like, huh, you know, because I love testing out base products. And the first time I tried this, it melted into my skin and I look like the wide-eyed emoji. I was like, there's no way that this is happening. There's no way that this formula is real. You tap this in with your finger, it melts into your skin, and your dark circles are gone and your skin is brighter. This is one of those formulas where every single time I use it, I'm like, wow, it looks fabulous. My skin looks fantastic. Like, I'm just so pleased with the performance every single time I use it. Oh yeah, this category is Holy Grail / looks good every single time I use it. That's what I wrote down. That's what I wrote down in my notes for this video, because I just feel like that summarizes these formulas. I have so few formulas that fit into that category of looks good every single time I use it. And it's a great price point. I feel like $29 for a concealer is very reasonable, especially considering you only need a little bit and it really does provide you great coverage. So the Laura Mercier, I mean, really and truly, I only have nice things to say about this formula. I love talking about foundations and concealers. I think I am gonna have to start doing a foundation Friday. This is the Dior Forever Skin Correct Full Coverage Creamy Concealer. I am using shade 1N. This is a teeny sample and I'm just trying to get through everything because I have those 30 concealers still from the summer. So I am going to purchase the full size of this. It's a fabulous concealer. The full size is 0.37 ounces, which again is massive. That is almost half the size of a foundation. Foundations again are 1 ounce typically. So 0.37 ounces, that's a lot of product. It retails for $36. There are 28 shades available. This is shade 1N, which I actually think is a decent shade match for me. I was nervous because sometimes these neutral tones can have a little bit too much pink in them and they can look a little bit weird on me, but I do think that this is actually an okay match. When I try a few more shades, I will let you know. I will keep you updated if my shade changes, but overall with the Dior formula, again, this is one of those looks good every single time I use it formulas. Dab it on and then blend with your finger first and really get that to be one with your skin. And then again, you can always finish the look with a beauty blender. It's like you're watching your dark circles disappear and I don't know how they do it. And it's like one light layer, just these little tiny dabs, and the amount of coverage that you get is so insane. It feels really light on your skin. I think it looks natural. It's not too illuminating. It's not matte. It's not flat. It just looks like your skin. It has this gorgeous, I call it a satin matte finish. I don't know if I've made that up. It is likely that I made up the term satin matte, but to me, satin matte just means like it looks like skin. It has a little bit of luminosity. It's not super flat. It's just, it looks so good. I generally do a faux tan a few times a week, but I have not this week, so I am at my most fair. Some of the concealers are going to look a little bit dark, but just trust me that they do work for me. All right, here we go. This is e.l.f. shade 26N. This is Maybelline Light Honey. This is IT Cosmetics 12.5. This is the Surratt Beauty. This is their peach tone shade in the shade 2 palette. This is Surratt Beauty shade 4 in their Surreal Skin Stick. This is the NARS Canal Light 2.75. This is the Kogundo Moisture Palette. This is the fair shade, which is Cool, the medium shade, which is Peach, and the bottom shade, which is more of a salmon color. This is the Kogundo Moisture Fit Concealer in shade Light 02, and this is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion in shade 1. And finally, this is the Dior Concealer in shade 1N. I have done my face tan now, so as you can see, the swatches do look a little bit lighter. We'll go over them one more time. This is the e.l.f. in shade 26N, the Maybelline Light Honey. This is It Cosmetics 12.5. And again, if I repurchase today, I'd purchase shade 13. This is the Surratt Beauty Peach shade from the Shade 2 palette. This is Surratt Beauty, the Surreal Skin Stick in shade 4. This is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in shade Canal. This is the Kogundo Moisture Palette, and here are all 3 shades that are in the palette. We have the lightest shade, the medium peach shade, and the deeper salmon shade. This is the Kogundo Moisture Fit Concealer in shade 2 Light. This is Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion in shade 1W. And finally, this is the Dior Concealer in shade 1N. That is everything. Those are all 9 concealers. I hope that this was fun for you. I love chatting. Again, I love chatting about base products. And I actually asked on Instagram the other day, do you prefer to test out new base products or color products? And I was actually very surprised, like a color product being a blush, lipstick, that sort of thing. It was like 60% for foundation and concealer. So I am not alone. We all love base products. That is the conclusion that I came to. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. So I will check the comments and see what's up. But thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.